I want to focus on voice AI. So what does voice AI mean? What can voice AI do? And can it really replace the SDR? That's my question to you guys. Leaders and CEOs and business owners saying, well, actually, why can't I just replace my SDR with AI? And that is where you need to show them through your body of work what you can do and what AI can do. You set the bar up here, meanwhile AI has only just got to here. But if you dip below there, you're out the door. My message to you, SDRs, quit bitching, moaning and whining about AI coming through and taking over your jobs. AI is not going anywhere. In fact, as you can see, there is more and more investment by the day in AI in SaaS. It's the most funded part of the SaaS space in history. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sell the Future podcast. And in the last couple of weeks, I've sat down with a ton of sales leaders. And when I say a ton, a few. That in that time, what I have noticed is there's a common theme developing here, and it's around discovery. These sales leaders have the same common gripe about their sales teams. The fact that their sales teams, when doing discovery, sound very robotic, like they're clearly going through a checklist, whether they're using the methodology BANT or they're using MEDDIC or MEDDIC, the result is still the same. It doesn't feel natural. And I understand that from the seller's perspective. When you're an SDR, your job is to uncover pain. It's to uncover exactly what's going on in the business. It's to do a discovery, right? In essence. And if there's a marry up, you're going to book him in for a meeting. Now, there's a lot more to it, but that's the premise of it. So the discovery piece is super important. Yes, you've got your cold call opener, but once you've got time, you better make it count. Now, two things with discovery. Yes, we need to uncover exactly what's going on in the business, but we need to make sure it sounds authentic and natural. So I've put together a short Discovery Masterclass session, which we're going to run through today. SDRs in particular, but also AEs who will be doing discovery on their demos. You do not want to miss it. Make sure you stick around for that. First things first, though, we're going to jump into SaaS news of the week. So what's been happening in the world of SaaS other than plenty of investments going on? Well, I'll show you. France's 109 billion euro AI boom. Why that specific number? That's the exact number that President Macron said they're going to be investing in AI. How the second wave of startups is building the future of voice robotics and compliance. Now, when you think about French startup scene, blah, 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 First Technologies, they've positioned themselves as Europe's next AI hub. President Macron, 109 billion AI investment package announced in February 2025. France is a serious opponent in the global AI race. Well, look, if they're becoming Europe's next AI hub, it's hard to argue with it. If you look at the stats, French startups raised over $7 billion in venture capital in 2024. With AI driving 82% growth in funding. This momentum is carried on this year. Brevo becoming Europe's latest unicorn earlier this month. There's a separate article on them. You can have a look at that yourself. And well, what does all of that mean? Right? Well, let's uncover what the second wave of AI startup growth is in the first place. What is the second wave of French AI? As the foundation model race consolidates around a few global players, a new cohort of French startups is expanding into the frontier of robotics, voice AI, interference optimization, and distinctly European AI governance and compliance. I want to focus on voice AI. We're hearing more and more things about voice AI. There's also more murmurings in the SaaS space about how SDRs feel, well, actually, voice AI is going to be replacing their jobs. Well, loads of businesses in 2025 have got rid of SDRs. They've trimmed down their SDR function. Well, it's because, AI has taken over their jobs. So what does voice AI mean? What can voice AI do? And can it really replace the SDR? That's my question to you guys. Can it replace the SDR? Now, voice AI can automate parts of the SDR role. I don't know if any of you have heard voice AI in action. Maybe you have. Will it reshape SDR work, or will it replace SDR work? And I've been speaking about this for a period of time. Voice AI, I don't know if you've heard it or not. It can cold call to an extent, but you can still tell it's AI, right? Now, the good thing about voice AI and AI in general, in terms of from a cold calling aspect, is yes, it can go all night round, 24/7, right? No jokes or any puns intended. It can make hundreds of calls simultaneously. They can deliver pitch variations. I guess they can deliver or handle basic objections, and they could follow playbooks. In theory, what's actually happening in reality? In reality, it cannot replace SDRs, or at least good SDRs. Because whilst you're making those cold calls and you can make it seem as authentic as possible, or as authentic as you like, what can AI not do that a human being can? It can't pick up on nuance. It can't pick up emotion in language. It can't detect and read between the lines as effectively as an SDR can. Right? High stakes discovery, anything requiring deep nuance or live call strategy shifting or emotional intelligence, is something AI cannot and will not replicate in the near future. Now, years down the line, I don't know what the landscape's going to look like. It's obviously evolving very quickly and very well, but when things evolve very quickly, that brings its own challenges. So again, we've got to hit that hurdle as well, right? When businesses, they scale and they scale really quick, they encounter problems. They grow too fast, and then they actually have to go back and reset. And AI won't be any different. And also, it's not going to be able to handle the different types of objections in different particular scenarios. So SDRs, the whole point I'm bringing this up is that SDRs, you need to skill up and educate your current or future employers as to why AI cannot replace you. Not yet. Maybe never. You, though, then have to skill up and be the best version of the SDR that you can be, because you've got businesses like Gradient. Gradient spun out of Quantify. I don't know how to say that. They got 300 million in funding. They're going to get more and more in funding. It's one of the largest voice funding announcements made globally. And these AI tools are going to get better and stronger. And you might find yourself with leaders and CEOs and business owners saying, well, actually, why can't I just replace my SDR with AI? And that is where you need to show them, not through your talking at them, but you need to show them through your body of work and actually show them through your recorded calls what you can do and what AI can do. You set the bar up here. Meanwhile, AI has only just got to here. But if you dip below there, you're out the door. And rightly so. But to dip below it means you're not doing your job. So what do we need to do? SDRs, we need to become effective cold callers. The other thing that I learned sitting down with sales leaders, and I've kind of known this for a while anyway, being a sales leader myself, is a lot of teams will find excuses to not pick up the phone. Okay? So how do you immediately become a top SDR? You stand out from the rest. You pick up that phone. You do what most people either are not doing or don't want to do and put it off, or they cold call when they want to cold call. Hey, I'm gonna do some numbers. I'm gonna cold call between 10 and 12, and I'm gonna just go through my checklist when they pick up the phone and whatever, knowing full well that you're probably not going to get too much cut through, depending on the type of person you're ringing up. If you're ringing up C-level, forget it. They're not going to be picking up the call between 10 and 12, are they? You know this. They're going to be picking up the calls between 8 and 9. So you got to get in early and make sure you do the things that most SDRs don't want to do. It's not hard in today's day and age to become a top SDR. It's not difficult. We live in a generation where everything's done without interacting properly with human beings. Everything's interacted through a screen, through a phone. Less and less people are talking to each other, and more people are hiding behind the screen, whether it's a phone screen, emails, LinkedIn messages. It's not hard to stand out. Just go back to being human. Pick up that phone, start dialing, call people, and practice your cold call openers. And then when you get time, either on that call or you set another date for you to call them back for your discovery call, make sure you're on point. Cold call openers that are working really well right now, being brief. Hey, Neil, I know I've caught you off guard. I know you're super busy. I'll be brief. I've noticed XYZ on LinkedIn. How's that impacting ABC? Have you got 30 seconds to discuss? Yeah. I've noticed you're hiring at the moment quite aggressively, working directly with one of your competitors who also went through the hiring process, really aggressive growth. It really impacted their onboarding and customer success and customer success management teams. How's it affecting you right now being at the early stage of hiring? Have you got 30 seconds to discuss this? Right. So my message to you, SDRs, quit bitching, moaning and whining about AI coming through and taking over your jobs. AI is not going anywhere. In fact, as you can see, there is more and more investment by the day in AI and SaaS. It's the most funded part of the SaaS space in history. No specific area has seen growth in funding quite like AI. It ain't going anywhere. So you've either got to level up or find yourself a new career. I've just told you it's not difficult to stand out from the crowd. You need to leverage AI, not fight against it or bitch about it. That's what you need to do. And understand when you've got AI tools in the business already, how can you leverage them? Can you get AI to do your donkey work? Because that's really what it's there for. AI does the donkey work. That's how you leverage AI. And then you do what AI cannot do. You have the conversations that AI cannot have. You're still Batman. AI is your Robin. Now, guys, we said at the start of this podcast, or rather I did, discovery. And how do we make it feel natural and urgent at the same time? This is what sales teams are struggling with at the moment, and whether you use, whichever methodology you use in your business right now, in your sales teams or as an individual, discovery is a key part at the start of the process, as we all know. But how do you conduct an effective discovery session? Well, I'm about to show you right now. Let's do a very quick masterclass, and I've built out 3 simple steps to make urgency feel supernatural. Not supernatural, but natural. You get my point. Okay, step 1. We want to highlight the gap. Current versus desired state. Clearly show your prospect the painful gap between where they are now and where they could be with your solution. For example, you mentioned missing quarterly targets by 10%. What if that gap continues? What happens then? Yeah. Now you found something out in your discovery, and in that you've got to bank it. They could be talking. This is where you need to be listening. It's all well and good. I see sales reps do this all the time. They ask a killer discovery question, and then they sit back and admire their work. Think of it like the football player on the pitch plays a beautiful ball out wide and just admires it. Oh, I've pinged that. Listen, son, you still got to make your run. Yeah. So don't just stop and admire your discovery question. Yes, you asked a killer question. Doesn't mean you're going to get a killer answer. And it might mean that your prospect hits you like verbal diarrhea, so many things going on, and you need to pick out the most important bits, which means These two things need to be fully engaged, and this stays closed. All right. Now, of all the garbage that they'll say, there'll be some gems in there. You mentioned missing quarterly targets by 10%. They've mentioned that. Bank it. Remember it. You're missing quarterly targets by 10% each quarter. What happens if that gap continues? What happens then? What's the knock-on effect? Yep. Step 2, quantify the cost of doing nothing. Right? Super straightforward. Show your prospect the price they'll pay if they stay stuck. We're just having a very, very simple conversation. For example, if things stay the same, that's 200 grand lost revenue every quarter. Can your team afford that? From a curiosity standpoint, this is how you want your discovery conversations to go. You don't want it to be, are you the budget holder? Okay, cool. Do you have the authority to sign this off? What are we doing? What timelines is this working to? No, none of that robotic shit. You need to be asking poignant questions that get them thinking, and you need to ask it from a place of curiosity. If things stay the same, that's 200 grand loss of revenue every quarter. Can your team really afford that? What is the knock-on effect of that? Because that's a lot of money, right? That's almost $1 million a year in lost revenue. What happens if we can fix even half of that? What does that look like then for you? How does that impact your week personally, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect? Yeah. What will that free you up to do? And then your final step, create a deadline for action. Okay. Frame your solution around a time frame that forces a decision. For example, we typically onboard new clients within 2 weeks. If we delay this further, the next opportunity to fix this won't be until next quarter. Okay. And AE is moving this along. If you're an SDR, what could you say? Right, it sounds like to me you're losing X, Y, and Z amount per quarter. The longer we leave this, if we leave this another quarter, that's going to be another 100 grand lost in revenue. Not sure you can afford to do that. My suggestion would be, let's book in a call with our AE, our solutions expert, whatever you refer to them as, and just investigate this a little bit further, because I believe there may be a solution that can actually help you out here. Probably take about 25 to 30 minutes of your time. Does that sound doable? Yes, Neil, actually, yeah, it does. No, it doesn't, Neil. Yes, Neil, it does. Book it in. No, it doesn't, Neil. Cool. Just confused. Based on what you told me, again, have a human conversation. Based on what you told me, you're losing a ton of money. I don't see why you wouldn't have the next meeting with us to explore a potential fix for you, unless there's a priority here that I'm missing. Is there something that's more important than losing 200K a quarter? Like, genuinely, if there is, that's fine. I'm just confused. You want to go in with that type of curious mindset, and then you want to create a deadline for action. Yeah. SDR example there. You're losing this much this quarter. We leave this meeting another quarter. What's that going to cost you? AE, typically we onboard clients within 2 weeks. If you delay this further, the next opportunity to fix this won't be until next quarter. What impact is that going to have on you? Yeah. So to wrap up, or recap rather, number 1, expose the painful gap. This is how you want to go into your discovery calls with these 3 steps in mind. I'm going in to expose the painful gap. Don't be afraid to dig deep. Clearly show the prospect exactly what they're missing without your solution. That is your aim. And to do that, you need to ask the right discovery questions. Number 2, put a price on inaction. The numbers don't lie. Show them exactly how much it costs to delay. Make the pain real and measurable. Mr. Prospect, you told me at the start of this call that because of X, Y, and Z, you've got a shortfall of 200 grand per quarter. That's 800K a year. If we delay this another quarter, You're now in the red by another 200 grand, which is £1 million. Can we really afford to do that? Put a price on an action which creates that urgency. Create real deadlines. Give them a time frame. Urgency comes from limits. Clearly state when they need to act to avoid consequences. And again, look, guys, I'm not expecting you to pick this up straight overnight. This isn't something that's going to happen instantly. You've got to train yourself, right? You want to start quantifying pain. You want to paint clear gaps, and then you want to set firm deadlines and have that as a framework. All we're doing here is building a framework, a bit of structure for you to go out there and implement your questions. You can navigate wherever you want within this framework, but just remember, you're trying to quantify pain points. You're trying to paint clear gaps, and then you're going to set firm deadlines. You're basically affirming that, hey, if you do nothing and stay still, this is what's going to cost you. And that's the dynamic, that's the mindset I want you to go in at when you're doing this. Because it's going to feel a bit odd at first, right? I'm trying to create urgency, and my sales manager told me, well, BANT, we're using BANT. I need to find out, okay, do they have the budget and the authority? But you've already lost your prospect by then. If they gave you time at the first instance, they're going to shut you down by not showing up at the meeting. Yeah, that is a fact. You need to make sure that you touch upon a pain point that is important to them. If they can't see it, it's your job to paint the picture of why it should be important to them and why it should be a priority for them to fix. You'll get used to it. Turn it into a natural, normal conversation. Guys, I've got a ton of discovery questions. I've put my 50 best together, but there's another 50 behind that as well. I've added the link in here. You can actually get it in the description. Click on it, download it for free. It's yours. It's all segregated into different verticals as well, different questions and what type of questions they are. So they've put into their own individual brackets. Use them. Pick some of those out and start implementing them in your day-to-day discovery calls. It's going to make a massive difference. Don't be afraid to dig deep, because if you don't dig deep, you're not going to get a deal. And bonus point for you SDRs and AEs, when you're doing discovery and you find pain, don't get that excited and think, I've got to jump to demo, I've got to jump to meeting booked. Just take that next step to dig a little bit further, because if you can dig a little bit further when you found pain, and then you may be able to connect that pain to the wider business, that's when a deal goes from 5K to 100K. And that is how promotions happen. Best of luck, everyone. That's the end of another episode of Sell the Future podcast. Look, guys, if you liked it and you enjoyed it and you found it useful, please give the video a like. Even drop me a comment. I'll respond to every single one. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some really exciting things in the pipeline for the future podcast, including future guests as well as objection handling masterclasses. You are not going to want to miss it. So subscribe, hit the notify me. And if you're not sick of me and you still want to see more, click right here and I'll see you guys in there.